Hey guys, this is Dinosaur Drawer, and this is the second part on how to draw the Jurassic World baryonyx. So, alright. So what we were doing, we were actually making a little bit of skin, the kind of colors on it, but we can't of course put the real colors in it because we're drawing with just a pencil. So by the way, we could make very tiny scales over here, just a little bit of it, just some small bits, and then over here we might want to darken this this line over here for his hip, but we do want to continue on making those kind of scales everywhere, and also make the left side of the bump a little bit darker, so that it's more pronounced a little. Just gets a little bit more pronounced this way. And we could actually erase all this unnecessary mess right here. Maybe erase a little bit of that as well, because it was a little bit too big and bulky. Alright. Then just keep on doing those little dots everywhere, and you could make them a little bit smaller when you're approaching the tail. And again, do 3 rows of them. And eventually you can just make them disappear, because they're just so small that they don't really matter that much anymore. Third row over here, and this third row is just really not really too much of it. Right, now we want to have some leg muscles to be visible a little bit. Let's actually make a knee over here. So just make a couple of lines that go like this. And then this muscle goes like this. And then of course there's another muscle that kind of goes like this. And then over here you have a couple of wrinkly lines. And then it just goes on like this for the length of his whole tail. And you can make them a little darker over here. Alright. And now of course there are a lot of lines going everywhere over here. Okay. And now we want to get a little bit of detail over here. We're just gonna start with a couple of wrinkles and stuff, and Maybe something like this going on over here. A couple of ribs that you might be able to see. And then just continue on putting those lines in. A little shadow there. And also a lot of lines. And then of course we can start putting in kind of the color on his back. Which actually goes like this. And it actually kind of stops around there, I believe. So it's starting to look quite alright. So now we have this huge muscle over here that you can kind of see. And his elbow, of course. And there should also be a little bit of muscle over there. And this could be a little darker. A couple more lines. And then just kind of do a pattern like this on top of those wrinkles in his neck. Alright. I'm just starting to really get those darker tones in some places. I might have actually made his arm a little bit too muscular. So I'm gonna make this a little bit lighter and then change his arm into this part. Alright. And then kind of again get those strange lines everywhere. Just a random kind of pattern. But at some places there is supposed to be a little bit more shadow than at other places. For example, over here. and over here as well. So it's really starting to look quite nice. I'm really trying to improvise here, by the way. I don't have any reference image with this detail on it, so I'm really trying to create all this detail myself. Alright, and then those kind of lines over there, and then they just kind of meet up with the rest of the lines that are actually out there. Maybe there could be a little bit more shadow over here. And it might look kind of blank right now, but later on, when a detail is added, it looks a lot better. So we're gonna kind of add this kind of these scales over here. Alright, and darken the underside of his foot a little. A little bit more detail in it. And it's really hard to tell exactly what I'm doing right now because I'm not even sure myself. I'm just going along and trying to put into the drawing what I've actually learned from the past few videos that I made. For example, the baby T-Rex. I learned a lot of skin patterns from it, and also the raptor head. Alright. So now we should get get this kind of color into his tail. And get all of it into his tail. And it seems that he also has some of this pattern going on his legs and arms. So we're just gonna have to do that carefully because we don't want to mess up the detail that we already have in there. Alright, so this should be okay. And now let's put a couple of tiny detail into his tail. And just make the lines become shorter and shorter. That should be fine for his tail. We could actually get a little bit more shadow into his belly part and stuff, especially on these little skin folds. Maybe a couple of detailed lines over here as well. Just a couple of them, not too much. Continue on doing it. And get that bit of detail in there as well. That way it will look a lot darker. And maybe we can make it darker a little bit manually, but just the bottom part, and that should be fine. So I quickly want to erase this part. And this part as well. Alright. So, yeah. Let's now try and get the detail into his, the color into his leg and not mess up too much of it. So it kind of goes like this, just attaches to this part over here. And don't go too dark on this. Again, we don't want to mess up too much. And then it goes kind of like this. All the way down till his knee. And it goes like that. Alright. So now let's get this a little bit darker as well. Something like that. And this should be fine the way it already is right now. Maybe I could make it a little bit more like this. It looks just a tiny bit better. Erase a little bit of it. Alright. And now we should put the detail into the other leg. So yeah, you can clearly see that here is a part where the bone kind of sticks out a little bit. And then there's a little bit shadow there, which actually goes a bit more like this. And yeah, we'll leave a little bit of a highlight there. And then over here it goes kind of like this. something a bit like that, and then erase that part because we don't need it. And then just put a lot of dark lines going down his leg. And then just keep on adding a couple of lines here and there, but leave the highlights alone. Alright, and for his arm, it goes kind of like this. And I would say that we are about done. It's really a shame because the light source is over here. I mean, my lamp is over there. Sometimes you can't really see this part too well, so that it makes it look like this part is darker than that part, but that's not the case at all. Just get this a little bit more detail and maybe a couple of dark spots on here as well. Couple of more maybe. Alright, so that's the Jurassic World baryonyx for you. I don't think it's completely accurate to how it's supposed to look like, but I do think it's pretty close. So let's get my autograph. And the dinosaur baryonyx. Alright, so I'll be back. I'll just be cleaning up some lines. Alright guys, so I hope you liked the video. I hope you actually learned something from it, because I know that I did some parts really quickly, while normally I take the time to explain what I'm doing, but this time I did some things a little bit faster than I normally do, so I actually do hope you learned something from it. And yeah, I hope you liked it. If you liked the video, leave a like, comment below what you think about the drawing and the video in general, and don't forget to subscribe. So this was Dinosaur Drawer, and goodbye.